All right, NBA MVP race is close, I guess, or it's not close at all, depending on who you talk to. If you talk to the media, anyone on Fox Sports or ESPN, they're just going to say, hey, it's SGA, it's SGA. If they could post their votes today, they'd put them in today and say it's going to be SGA. Stephen A. Smith was saying the same thing. I'll preface it by saying SGA is having an amazing season. I have the stats here. We'll get into the stats more. He's been amazing the past 3 seasons. We'll kind of get into it. But Stephen A. Smith is just saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna let them do this to SGA again. Like I'm not gonna let him get robbed for another MVP again. I guess he's never got robbed for an MVP in my opinion. And I think Jokic would be getting robbed this season. To be honest, if SGA won it over him." First argument everyone always makes, OKC, they're the number one seed. They're the number one seed. They're 11 and a half games ahead of Denver for the number one seed. So, yes, they have the number one seed. It's basically locked up. Denver's not going to catch Oklahoma City for the number one seed. It's mathematically possible, but OKC's not going to just go on a freaking 15 game losing streak. We all know that's not going to happen. So awesome. OKC has the number one seed. Good for them. I'm being kind of sarcastic, but it's a good accomplishment. It's cool to be number one. I'm a Spurs fan. I remember the Spurs were the number one seed one season. I forgot what season it was exactly. Y'all remember? And then we played Memphis. They were the 8th seed and they beat us in 6 games. So being the number one seed doesn't necessarily mean anything in the playoffs. But again, the NBA MVP is a regular season MVP award. So I'll try not to talk too much about what will or won't happen in the playoffs. But again, playoffs aside, they're the number one seed. Denver's going to be the number two seed if they can stay there. Right now, if Denver, they can lose like 2 games and they can slide down to the 5 seed basically. It's so close between 2, 3, 4, and 5 right now. It's just a logjam in the West right now. So if Denver drops down to 5, I would understand. Don't give Jokic the MVP in that case, I suppose. But if they stay in the second seed, for sure, if they stay in the second seed and things keep going how they're going, I feel like you just have to give it to Jokic. It's not like, I mean, Russell Westbrook won it. He was number 6 seed and he averaged a triple double. It hadn't been done for like over 40 years at that point, however long it was. So it was kind of more historic, I guess, when Westbrook did it. So it had more precedence or more of a story behind it, I suppose. And then Jokic is going to most likely average a triple double this season with 29 points as well. So just insane Russell Westbrook like numbers. But his team's, I can't even say probably because it's so close. But if he does keep them in the 2 seed and he can keep that number 2 seed, I don't care about OKC being the number one seed. It's not like Denver snuck in at the 7 seed or the 8 seed and Jokic had these spectacular numbers and they just gave it to Jokic because of that. But it frustrates me when people act like the gap is so huge between 2 and 1 because it is. It's an 11 and a half game gap right now, but it's 1 and 2 either way. It's a one seed difference. It's not like when Westbrook won a couple years ago. Whenever he won and he averages triple double, I wasn't mad he won. They were the number 6 seed. It was cool he won. It was historic. But even without like the historic part of him averaging a triple double, Jokic doing that, he's going to be the third player to ever do it besides Oscar Robertson and Westbrook. But even without that, his numbers are just better. We'll go to the next thing. People always say, "Oh, SGA's defense. SGA's a dog on defense. He's this beast on defense." Okay, Chet Holmgren, J Dub, Dort, and then SGA is the number 4 best defender on his team. He's not better than Dort as a perimeter defender. He's like probably as good as J Dub, but J Dub is more versatile. He can guard more positions than SGA with his strength. Chet Holmgren is just without a doubt a better defender than SGA. Comment below what you think if I'm being unfair about that, but I think there's 3 defenders on his team. Again, J Dub, Dort, Chet Holmgren. I'm not gonna say those 3 are absolutely definitely all better than him, but you can make an argument for each guy, and it's not like SGA is leaps and bounds ahead of those dudes on defense. He's not Victor Wembanyama out there. It's not like every second SGA's on the court, you just feel his impact defensively. He's just clamping dudes up. He's a very good perimeter defender. I'm not saying he's not good, but obviously it's on the offensive end. He's a beast on offense, which is awesome. He's fun to watch for the most part, but hey, when people say, "Oh, his defense," SGA is number 2 in the NBA in steals. Yeah, he's tied with Jokic. They both average 1.8 steals per game. Um, your steal number doesn't equal how good you are at defense. It's not that simple, but Jokic is not he's not like a slouch on defense like they make him out to be. He's a playable defender, of course. The Mavericks made the finals last year with Luka being a horrible defender. Denver already won a championship with Jokic being I don't know, people call him a horrible defender, but they act like he's some slouch. You know what I mean? He does so much more, and his defense is not like, you know what I mean? Like he's Trey Young out there, and people are just gonna pick on him and just be a liability on defense. So the record, I don't care if they finish in the 2 seed with Denver and OKC is the 1 seed. Whoop de doo, y'all are 11 and a half games ahead. But if both teams meet in the Western Conference Finals, no one really cares about that. But again, it's a regular season MVP award, so I shouldn't look ahead to the playoffs too much. So yeah, the record, the defense, again, SGA is a very good defender. I'm not saying he's not a good defender, but when you watch the Thunder, you don't see SGA just flashing on defense and doing all this crazy stuff. That's Dort and Chet Holmgren for the most part are the guys you see flashing with Dort's crazy perimeter defense, then Chet's crazy shot blocking. He can switch basically 1 through 5. Chet's great. So yeah, the record, the defense. Um, Stephen A was saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna let SGA get robbed again like that." So we'll get into these numbers here in a second. Um, He's just ridiculous, I feel like. But we'll get into the numbers here. So this season, right down here, this is Shea. He's averaging basically 33 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. 52% from the field, 37% from three. It's an amazing season. I'm not saying he's not great. Shea's awesome. Here's the point I forgot to get to, actually. My third point. I'm just going to say it. Shea flops his ass off. He's just a foul baiter, and he's fun to watch. He's really exciting to watch. Comment below if you agree with me or what you think. This is my viewpoint for SGA. I'll watch him play. He'll make 1 or 2 plays, in a quarter, maybe even more. Let's just say he makes one play. I'm like, man, that's a spectacular play on offense. He shook that guy so nasty. Got to his step back, hit just a beautiful step back jumper, and it was just a pure basketball fan's dream. That was so great to see. So make these awesome plays, just clean step backs and his mid post game, and he gets to the rim like a snake. He just slithers in and just gets easy layups. It looks like nothing for him to score out there. So you see one play like that, and I'm like, man, that was beautiful. This guy is freaking amazing on offense. Then the next possession, he dribbles. Some guys has their hands out on defense, and he freaking rips through their arm and does some flopping ass motion that's not even a shooting motion. Comment below what you think. Awesome player, but he flops his ass off. Reminds me of prime Rockets James Harden. Again, both super entertaining players, but again, let me know what you think. The kids are watching the NBA players, and the kids are molding their game after the NBA players. So the next generation of kids, I don't know, whatever it is, 10, 15 years from now, they're going to come into the NBA, and a lot of these kids, SGA is probably their favorite player, and when they're getting into their bag, they're going to put foul baiting and flopping into their bag, which I just hate to see. I think it's bad for the NBA. If if you make a move and it's not a move you would have made like on a street ball court or in your driveway, you know what I mean? Like if your buddies would not call that a foul, when you're younger playing basketball, like you shouldn't get rewarded for flopping and foul baiting if that makes sense. Again, I just hate that all the kids are watching SGA play and they're idolizing him. And he's a good guy to idolize. Their perimeter player. He has awesome moves. Again, like I said, I'll see one play, he'll make a play. I'm like, man, that's the best play I've seen all season. This guy scores like nothing. This guy's the best player in the NBA. And then, the very next play, he does some crazy ass flop, and it's just so ugly to watch. Like, he'll make the prettiest play I've ever seen one possession. The very next possession, it'll be like the ugliest play I've seen all season with him flopping. So that really frustrates me. Jokic doesn't do all the excessive flopping and stuff. He may flop a little bit. I'm not saying he never does. But SGA, it's just part of his bag, just a foul bait. It's so frustrating when you're dribbling down. You have no plan on even taking a shot, but you see a guy's arm out, so you rip through and go up. I feel like they should make some kind of changes to the rules, for when you're going into an unnatural shooting motion just to draw a foul. It's just ugly to watch. But anyway, done with my flopping rant there. But yeah, this season again, SGA 33 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 37% from the field, and 52.5%. Rather 37% from three, 52.5% from the field. It's just spectacular to shoot over 50% from the field as a shooting guard, point guard, any type of guard. That's just spectacular. That's insane efficiency. It's more like a center or a power forward's efficiency, and a good center, a power forward. Like that's crazy efficiency. And if you see past 3 seasons, 51% from the field, 53.5% from the field, 52.5% from the field, just ridiculous. He's incredible. Um, Three ball, 34.5, 35, 37. So his three ball has gotten even better this season. He's always sitting around 88, 90% from the line. So he's a great free throw shooter, which works well with his, not even to be a hater, but it works well with his kind of foul baiting style and all the fouls he draws. Um, yeah, if you look down, 31 points, 30 points, 33 points. That's his last 3 seasons on that great efficiency. His assists and rebounds are always about the same, 5.5, 6, 6, 5 rebounds, 5.5, 5 rebounds. Those always stay right about the same. So SGA is amazing. I'm not saying he's not amazing. He's an awesome player. Love to have him on the Spurs, which is my team, if we could. And I'm sure everyone that calls him a foul baiter and hates on him would love to have him on their team. But coming back, so Jokic's numbers, he's doing 29 points. This is all lined up, so it's the points. But 29 points, 10.3 assists, and basically 13 rebounds. It's just freaking stupid numbers. Again, he put up the 30, 30, 20, and 20 probably like 10 days ago or so now. And if SGA put up a 30, 20, and 20, ESPN and Fox, they would not even talk about Joker the rest of the season. They'd be like, oh, it's over. MVP race is over. Heard Stephen A, of course, he's saying, SGA is my vote. It's basically, he paraphrased it, but he said, there's nothing Jokic can do for me not to vote for him. What he said was, only if SGA falls off a cliff or something, then I won't vote for him. So basically, he's saying if SGA doesn't get hurt, and I'm not wishing that on him, or if SGA doesn't, I don't know, he said fall off a cliff. So if SGA starts averaging 10 points a game for the rest of the season or something, then, he'll give it to Jokic. But basically, his argument was no matter what Jokic does, there's nothing Jokic can do for him to place himself over SGA in Stephen A. Smith's mind. The only thing that can happen is, SGA is just so far ahead of him, which is not true in my opinion. So the only thing SGA can do is drop down to Nikola Jokic's level of mediocrity. It's ridiculous. Like Stephen A. will not give European players credit. Let me know what you think, but he just hates on European guys for whatever reason, which is bad for the league. But again, my point was Stephen A. was saying I'm not gonna let this happen to SGA. Like this is not gonna happen to SGA again. Not on my watch. They're not gonna rob this man of another MVP. And he's never gotten robbed of one. It's ridiculous. Like even this season, if Jokic wins, again, if Nuggets finish the number 2 seed, it makes no sense for Jokic to not win. Let me know what you think again. SGA's defense is not something crazy. Like again, he's a very good defender, but it's not some insane thing that makes up for the gap, between him and Jokic or puts him that much further ahead of Jokic. And then when you go to the numbers, the past 3 seasons, Jokic 24.5, 26, 29 points, 13.8 rebounds, so basically 14 rebounds, 12 rebounds, 12 rebounds again. And then he does 9.5 assists, 9.5 assists, 10 assists. Even the season before that, 27 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. I don't think he even won the MVP that year, right? The 21-22 MVP. Let's see. Wasn't it Giannis that year? Okay, no, it was Jokic. He definitely deserved it. But yeah, it's just ridiculous numbers. Back to my point though, Stephen A. saying I'm not gonna let them do this to SGA again. He's not gonna get robbed out of another MVP. comment below what you think, but he's never been robbed of an MVP in my opinion. Like Jokic deserved it over him. I mean, all these past 4 years, to be honest, unless you start getting into team records and things like that, which I feel like it's kind of a wishy-washy argument, especially if it's between the 1 seed and the 2 seed. Like, don't tell me, oh, OKC they have 11 more games won or whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter as long as you're the 1 seed and they're the 2 seed. Like, they're right behind you. It doesn't matter if it's a 10 game gap or a 1 game gap. You know what I mean? But moving on though, coming to Luka stats, 'cause that's another thing. I mean, just Luka in 23-24. So yeah, just last season, 34 points, 9.8. We'll just give him 10 assists. So 34 points, 10 assists, and 9.2 rebounds. That was 23-24. SGA put up 30 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. So he didn't deserve it over Luka in any way that season. Jokic won over Luka that season. I mean, the next season for Luka, 28 points. This is actually when he was in Dallas, the beginning of this season. We'll go to the 22-23, 32.4 points, 8 assists, 8.6 rebounds. 22-23 for Shea, 31 points, 5.5 assists, and 4 rebounds. On amazing efficiency, 51% from the field for Shea. But I mean, Luka's doing 50% from the field in that 22-23 season as well. And Luka did not win the MVP. Oh, excuse me. And Luka did not win the MVP that season. Stephen A. Smith, all these people on Fox and whatever will never say one thing about that and say, oh, Luka should have won this season. Or Stephen A. won't say, oh, I'm not letting y'all do that to Luka Doncic again. But for SGA, he just pushes for SGA for whatever reason. I was gonna say Stephen A. Smith always hates on foreign players, which is true. But SGA's from Canada, so he's Canadian, so he's foreign as well. I think it's more European players. If you're from North America, Stephen A. is cool with you, or the continent of North America, Canada. But if you're from Europe, Stephen A. just does not like you for some reason. But yeah, let me know what you think below. I think it's just so weird how all these guys in the media basically already casted their votes and say it's going to be SGA already. I think it was Chris Broussard. He said I'm going to vote for SGA unless something like unforeseen happens. And that was a week after Jokic just put up his 30, 20, and 20. So I'm like, what more unforeseen things need to happen for you? He needs to have 2 or 3 more 30, 20s, and 20s. Jokic could literally have two 20-point, 20 rebound, 20 assist games. So you could have 2 more of those, before the season ends, and Stephen A. Smith still wouldn't vote for his ass. It's just wild how the MVP voters are so biased. Comment below what you think, 'cause I know it's different for everybody. It's not all about the numbers. It's not all about the team record. It's not all about offense or defense. Everyone has different criteria that they vote in. But just based on these numbers, the team records, like I said again, Denver could easily slide down to the 5 seed if they just lose a few games. So if they're in the 5 spot, I have no problem. Like Jokic shouldn't so much win in the number 5 seed, but if he holds the number 2 seed, even in the number 3 seed, I'd have a good argument for him. But yeah, if he holds the number 2 seed, I just see no way how SJ deserves to win the MVP over Jokic. But my last point, if we always gave the MVP to the best player every single year, LeBron would have won him for a freaking 5 or 6 years straight. So they need to have some parity in the league and have some different MVPs win, I guess, just to keep it more interesting. Just make the race seem like an actual race, because every season 10 years ago, people were just chalking LeBron for the MVP. You can just vote him MVP before the season even starts, and I wouldn't even have argued with you. I wouldn't have argued with you back then, just with how awesome LeBron has pretty much always been. But comment below what you think. Again, it's not always the best player that wins the MVP, but I thought it was frustrating how Stephen A. Smith and all these media people are trying to act like SGA is getting robbed. And again, you see the numbers for the past 3-4 seasons compared to Jokic, numbers for the past 3-4 seasons compared to Luka. If anyone got robbed, Luka should have had one of these in my opinion. But Again, ESPN, Fox, they won't support any European player for some reason. But thank you for watching. I'm at a big 31 subscribers. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 50 by the end of the week, and YouTube said they'll send me a brand new used car.